Hi, hello Chinguzzz. How are you everyone? I hope you're doing well. Today I'm here to share a story. Usually I will tap using Tamil language, but here I am to share a new story in English. In this way, I hope every army can enjoy my story. So the language won't be an issue, I guess. So, without delay, let me introduce my story's title, which is Gangster's Love. It's TAEHYUNG's birthday special one shot. Advance happy birthday, TaeTae. Chinguzzz, I hope you guys will love the story and support me. Do not badmouth my work. If you are not interested, you may leave the page. Thank you in advance. Use headphones for better experience. Ignore the background noise. Then what are we waiting for? Let's jump to the story. In the heart of a small, fear-ridden town, Kim Taeyong was a whispered name. A ruthless gangster with sharp eyes and iron will. Taeyong ruled the streets. No one dared to cross him except for Prakash Arora, a wealthy businessman who had recently betrayed him. To teach Prakash a lesson, Taeyong came up with an unthinkable plan. He would force Prakash's daughter, Vayan, into marriage. Vayan was a college girl full of dreams. She loved her books, her heart, and the simple joys of life. But one fateful evening, while you walked home from your friend's house, the young men surrounded you. "You're coming with us," one of them said sternly. Your father had no choice but to bow to Taeyong's demand. Terrified and angry, Vayan was taken to a grand but lifeless mansion and forced into a hasty wedding. You sat in your bridal attire, fuming as Taeyong smiled beside you. "You may have forced me into this marriage," you spat through gritted teeth, "but I'll never accept you." "Good," Taeyong replied curtly. "I didn't marry you for your acceptance." The wedding was nothing short of a nightmare for Vayan. You barely knew Taeyong, and the little you knew, he's cold, calculating, and dangerous. The complete opposite of the loving husband you had once imagined. Taeyong, on the other hand, didn't marry you for love. Their union was a result of his anger and a need for revenge against her father, Prakash Arora. Prakash had betrayed Taeyong in a business deal that almost cost him his life, and Taeyong saw this forced marriage as the ultimate retaliation. From the first day, Vayan and Taeyong were at odds. You hated him for taking away your freedom, while he saw you as a reminder of your father's betrayal. Their home became a battlefield, filled with biting comments and heated arguments. On the first morning, you stopped into the kitchen to find Taeyong drinking coffee. "Do you think I'm a maid? Where's my breakfast?" you snapped. Taeyong raised an eyebrow unfazed. "This is my house. If you're hungry, figure it out yourself." Another time, you tried to leave the house to meet your friends, only to find his man blocking the gate. "What is this? A jail? You think you can control my life just because you're powerful?" You yelled at Taeyong. "Call it what you like. You're my wife now." "You live by my rules," he replied calmly. "You're safer here." Vayan clenched a fist, glaring at him. "I will never forgive you for this." Taeyong shrugged. "I don't need your forgiveness." The arguments became a daily affair, with Vayan throwing sarcastic remarks and Taeyong responding by cutting in different words. Despite the hate, spark sparks of something deeper began to flicker. One evening, during a storm, you tripped on the stairs and sprained your ankle. Though you expected TAEHYUNG to ignore you, he surprised you by carrying you to your room. "Don't touch me," you protested, but he didn't listen. As he bandaged your foot, you saw a side of him you hadn't before. Gentle and focused. "Why are you doing this?" you asked, confused. "Because I'm not as heartless as you think," he replied simply. Moments like this continued to happen. Once, you caught him feeding stray dogs outside. Another time, he left a sketch pad on your table after noticing your love for art. Your hatred began to waver, replaced by reluctant curiosity. One night, after a particularly heated argument, you confronted TAEHYUNG. "Why did you marry me? What did I ever do to you?" you demanded, tears in your eyes. TAEHYUNG sighed deeply, his usual cold mask slipping. "Your father betrayed me. I wanted revenge. But I didn't think it through. I never wanted to hurt you, Ryan." "Then why keep me here like a prisoner?" you asked. "Because this world is dangerous, and you're a target now because of me," he admitted, his voice softer than you ever heard it. "I don't want anything to happen to you." You were stunned. For the first time, you saw the pain behind his tough exterior. You turned to leave, but TAEHYUNG grabbed your wrist, pulling you back gently. "Do you think I don't see what I've done to you?" he said, his voice raw with emotion. "I know you hate me. You have every reason to, but you are the only good thing in my life now. And I don't know how to let you go." Your heart raced. That night, you began to see TAEHYUNG not as a monster, but as a man trapped in his shadows. You wanted to scream at him, to push him away, but the vulnerability in his eyes held you still. You felt the tension between both of you crackling in the air. Without thinking, you said, "Then show me. Show me that you're not the monster I think you are." TAEHYUNG froze for a moment, unsure of what you meant. But as he looked into your eyes, he saw the mixture of anger, confusion, and something else. Something unspoken. Slowly, he cupped your face with his hands, his calloused thumbs brushing against your soft skin. "If I hurt you, tell me to stop," he whispered. Ryan's breath caught as his lips hovered near hers, giving her a chance to pull away. Instead, you closed the gap, your mouth crashing into his with a mix of frustration and passion. The kiss was fierce, like you were both fighting and surrendering at the same time. His hands slid down your back, pulling you closer until there was no space left between both. Your fingers tangled in his hair, your earlier anger dissolving into something deeper, more intense. The world around them seemed to fade, leaving only the heat of their connection. When both finally pulled apart, both were breathless. TAEHYUNG rested his forehead against yours, his voice low and gravely. "You're going to ruin me, Ryan." You smiled softly, your fingers tracing the edge of his jaw. "Maybe you deserve it." The relationship slowly began to change. TAEHYUNG softened, giving you more freedom, while you started to see the good in him. One day, he found you crying over a failed painting. "You're talented," he he said, surprising him. Don't give up so easily. You think so? You asked hesitantly. I know so, he replied with a rare smile. That moment marked the beginning of your bond. You both began spending time together, sharing stories and secrets. TAEHYUNG started protecting you not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. Hwan found herself drawn to Kim TAEHYUNG's vulnerability and strength. One evening, under the moonlight on the mansion's terrace, you finally let your guard down. I don't hate you anymore, you confessed. TAEHYUNG looked at you, his dark eyes softening. And I don't deserve you, he replied. Without thinking, you stepped closer. Maybe we deserve each other. Their lips met in a kiss that was gentle at first, but quickly grew passionate, as if years of tension and unspoken feelings poured out in that single moment. TAEHYUNG pulled you closer, his arms wrapping around you protectively, while you surrendered to the warmth you had never expected to find with him. As Hwan and TAEHYUNG began to grow closer, their fragile bond was tested by a single incident. One day, while Hwan was arranging her books in her room, she found a letter slip under the door. It was from her father, Prakash. The letter pleaded for her to return home, accusing of TAEHYUNG keeping her as a pawn in his game of revenge. It painted him as a ruthless manipulator, suggesting that his moments of care were all a strategy to trap her. Tears welled up in your eyes as doubt crept into your mind. You had started to believe in TAEHYUNG's feelings, but your father's words made you question everything. When TAEHYUNG entered the room that evening, you confronted him, holding the letter in trembling hands. So, this is all a game to you? You accused. TAEHYUNG frowned, taking the letter from you and reading it. His expression hardened, but he remained silent. Say something, you demanded. Tell me it's not true. But TAEHYUNG heard that you could doubt him after everything, turned away. Believe what you want, he said coldly before leaving the room. For days, they barely spoke. Hwan avoided TAEHYUNG, torn between her growing feelings and father's warning. TAEHYUNG, deeply wounded by your mistrust, kept his distance, though his eyes often lingered on you when you weren't looking. One evening, you overheard a conversation between TAEHYUNG and his trusted lieutenant. She thinks I don't care of her, TAEHYUNG said, his voice heavy with emotion. But I would destroy the world to keep her safe. That's why I stayed silent. If she doesn't trust me, I won't force her to stay. Hearing this, your heart sank. You realized how wrong you had been. TAEHYUNG's silence wasn't guilt. It was his way of coping with the hurt of your doubt. Determined to make things right, you decided to show TAEHYUNG how much he meant to you. Late that night, you found him sitting alone on the terrace, staring at the city lights. TAEHYUNG, you called softly with your trembling voice. He turned, his expression guarded. What is it? I'm sorry, you whispered, walking closer. I was wrong to doubt you. I was scared. But now I see how much you care for me. I don't want to lose what we have. TAEHYUNG's face softened, but He remained silent. You hesitated before stepping closer, placing a hand on his cheek. Say something. You pleaded. Instead of speaking, TAEHYUNG pulled you into his arms, holding you tightly as if afraid you would disappear. You have no idea how much I care for you, he murmured against your hair. You're the only person who has made me feel alive again. You tilted your face up to look at him. Then show me, you said, your voice barely above a whisper. TAEHYUNG leaned down, capturing your lips in a kiss that was both tender and intense, a mix of passion and relief. His hands caressed your face, your back, as if reassuring himself that you were truly there. He responded with fingers tracing the scars on his arms, silently promising to love even the broken parts of him. I'm sorry, you whispered again between kisses. I'll never doubt you again. TAEHYUNG smiled softly, resting his forehead against yours. And I'll spend my life proving that you never have to. After that incident, TAEHYUNG made a life-changing decision. He walked away from his criminal empire, choosing love and peace over power and revenge. Together, you and TAEHYUNG left the town, settling in a quiet city far from the chaos of their past. TAEHYUNG opened a small cafe, a dream he had never dared to voice before, while you returned to college to complete your studies in art. You both built a life together, one step at a time, with mutual trust and unwavering love. Years later, the once lonely home was now filled with laughter and warmth. You stood in the garden watching your 5-year-old daughter Aditi chase her older brother, 7-year-old Arif, around the yard. Papa, save me! Aditi called, running to TAEHYUNG, who was reading a book on the porch. TAEHYUNG scooped her up effortlessly, spinning her in the air as she giggled uncontrollably. Arif soon joined in, tugging at his father's sleeve to wrestle playfully. He watched them with a smile. He often marveled at how far you both had come. From a first marriage born out of revenge to a love so deep it had transformed your lives. Later that evening, after tucking the kids into bed, you found TAEHYUNG in your bedroom, looking at an old photograph of the two from your early days. Thinking about the past? You asked, sliding onto the bed beside him. He nodded, a small smile on his lips. I never thought we had this, he admitted, gesturing to the house filled with the sounds of family. You gave me a life I never deserved, Ryan. You rested your head on his shoulder. You earned it, TAEHYUNG. You gave me a love I never thought I'd find. He turned to you, his dark eyes filled with emotion. And I'll spend every day making sure you and the kids are safe and happy. You smiled, leaning in to kiss him softly. At that moment, as they sat together in the quiet of the night, they knew they had found the kind of love that could weather the storm. Their journey had been far from easy, but it had led them to a life full of love, laughter, and the promise of beautiful future. That's all, my dear Chinguzzs. If you like the story, don't forget to hit the like button and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you need more stories like this, please share your thoughts in the comment box. Till then, bye bye Chinguzzz, Srangai, Annyeong.